Yeah, and let's talk about that a little bit because that's the two sides of the coin that I mentioned that you have experienced in both quarters. I mean, you're or has, I guess it would be, but yeah, you've been a soldier. You're a peace activist. Okay, war breaks out. We're getting all of the soldiers' perspective. We're getting all of the right
Yeah,
wing perspective, the warmongers, and we're getting even among journalists that are embeds. And you and I have talked about this before. As embeds, they're very fortunate to be where they're at. In some respects, if they're in a fire zone, their lives are in the hands of the people that put them there. So
right.
they're highly differential to that point of view. I mean, embed reporting is a big issue in theaters of war, and we're seeing that now. But where is the peacekeeper? Where is the left wing? Where is the person like you? Why is that viewpoint not represented to give us the perspective that you have? And just like we started the show with, Noam Chomsky's.
Yeah, it's something that has been shut out to a great degree in the American media in the last 20 years. Certainly the number of anti-war voices that were put forth after September 11th were minimal. And there have been studies that have shown this. I mean, there's certainly the numbers 85, 90, depending on the study, different ones I've read, 85, 90, 95% of the voices that are heard on major media not only are pro-war, but often have financial or career ties to institutions that benefit from war. So from the weapons companies, maybe this person you're listening to is at a think tank that is funded by the weapons companies. I mean that is exactly what happens, and that's you read these, whether it's an opinion piece or someone is quoted in an article or you see them on television, and it's not disclosed to you, excuse me, that this man or woman is on the board of directors for a weapons company. And that happens quite a bit, and it's also orchestrated. We know that the Pentagon did a program during the beginning of the Iraq War, run up to the Iraq War and during the invasion, where they basically had all these retired generals on their books and got the media to put these people on as experts because they're retired generals and retired admirals, not disclosing that these people are agents of the Pentagon and representing the Pentagon's view on this. So, I mean, you have that. And then you also have, the force of war when it occurs. The two things that happen. This is why you never want to get to this point, because once it occurs, there's very little that you can do. Oftentimes, it has to play out to a degree. And you're seeing that here where it's hard to get the information to make a decision or make an informed assessment because, one, you have the literal fog of war, which does not allow for information to be presented nicely and correctly and accurately. It just doesn't. That's just the reality. When you're in it, you understand that very clearly. But when you're outside of it, you can also see how you can't get straight information on anything. That is then overlaid with the fact that the propaganda from all sides is immense, and it's distorting, and it has a purpose. So you look at what the Russians are saying, you look at what the Ukrainians are saying, look at what the Russians are saying, say about the Ukrainians using human shields. Well, where have we heard that before?
Yeah.
Right? That's what the United States says about the civilians who we kill in our airstrikes. Well, they are being held as human shields. I mean, you hear the Russians say, well, we went into Ukraine because we have a responsibility to protect. Well, where have we heard that from before? That was the reasons, particularly for the calamitous and incredibly destructive NATO war in Libya, which 10 plus years later, still ravaging the country, and hundreds of thousands are dead and displaced. The country's ruined. Responsibility to protect. So this propaganda really, affects not the information. It affects the decision, but it also then affects the emotions. So I'm seeing people who are all excited about this war. We have to go there and fight for liberty. And it's kind of like you do realize Ukraine is one of the most corrupt nations in the world. You're not fighting for liberty over there. They have some form of elections, but it's, this is not Athenian democracy, the pinnacle of, right. I mean, so, it affects emotions though, because you see this, and then those emotions certainly can be manipulated and teased and brought out by effective media campaigns that, as we were discussing, oftentimes are meant or come across as government propaganda, if you will. You mean so the anti-war voices often get shut out, or they get diminished, they get demeaned, they get criticized as, oh, you're pro Putin,